Good morning, everybody, and a warm welcome. That's a bit of a thing, isn't it? Warm welcome on such a chilly day. So warm welcome to our Digital Resources webinar. This is our second Digital Resources webinar for this academic year. This is not replacing our regular Maths and English webinars, but to supplement your understanding or provide you with some information that you didn't know. Either way, we assure that you'll be able to take something away with you today that supports delivery with our resources. So we'll just move on to the next slide. So just before we do start, just a few housekeeping points. This session is being recorded. The slides and the recording will be available via the Maths and English Resource Hub, and they'll be available via that web page shortly. Just do bear with us, it might take us a day or two, but we will get there. We have put everyone on mute for the time being for the webinar, and we've turned off the questions just for the moment, just so we can get through the webinar. We will turn the question box back on towards the end of the webinar, and we will dedicate some time to the questions for you to ask questions live. And last but no means least, if you are having any issues, please try logging out and logging back in. That does seem to work. And you can also join us by telephone by selecting the phone call in the audio pane. So fingers crossed, everything will be working for us today, because I don't know about you, Michelle, but my laptop doesn't seem to like the cold this morning. So on this webinar, you have a new face on our Digital Resources webinar today. So you have myself, good morning, and good morning, Michelle. How are you this morning?
I'm all right, thank you, Catherine. Thank you very much. Good morning to you all. My name is Michelle Haresan. I'm one of the Digital Solution Managers at City and Guilds. My role is all about supporting you, our customers, through the platform experience. That is providing you with demonstrations, training or support across the many of our different platforms, including the ones that we're actually going to highlight today on today's webinar.
And if you have been to one of our recent Connect Share networks, you have seen Michelle in person. So she does accompany us out on the road. And of course, I'm Catherine Reid. I am a technical advisor for Maths, English, ESOL and employability, and my role is to provide guidance and support in these qualifications. So not to disrupt the webinar, we're now going to turn our cameras off. Let me just do that now, and it sometimes helps with broadband, and we will put them back on later in the webinar. So if we just move on now.
Brilliant, there we go. So through today's webinar, we are going to look at supporting you in your chosen approach for teaching and learning, and how you can use some or all of our City and Guilds resources along that journey. So we're hoping to share with you a real variety of our Maths and English digital resources today. Our main focus this morning will be on the delivery side of functional skills, and where we will take a deeper dive into the resources that support teaching and learning. So just before we actually get started on the main content of the session, we just want to carry out a quick poll first of all. What that'll do is allow us to understand sort of like where you are all coming at from today, and if you're using any of our digital resources already. So I am just about to launch the poll for you. There we go. And the poll should be coming up on your screens now, and it's asking you, are you currently using any of our digital resources? And if you can tick any of the ones that apply, just give it a few minutes for everybody for the votes to come in, while everybody's just having a good think about that at the moment.
Gosh, everybody's hot off the mark today. Look at that.
Yeah. Just a few more votes still coming in, so I'll just give everyone a couple more seconds. Oh, yeah, so we've got that there. So let me just share that poll with you. Just give it a second for it to come up. Everything is working a little bit slow. Oh, I don't know whether it's actually come up for you. Just bear with me a second.
Not yet. So our first morning, if you close the webinar and then you have to reopen it.
Right, what it's actually doing is it's actually bringing me up a different screen. It's not showing the results, so I'm really sorry about that at the moment. But if I just give you a little bit of insights into what the results were coming out as. Oh, has it come up there? No, stop sharing.
I'm sharing it, so I've shared it now. So there we
it's
go.
working at your end, Catherine. Brilliant. Yeah. So we've got the a majority of actually 53% are not using any of our resources, and then 27 on Open Assess and 20% on the Centre Analytics. And then we've also got a 13% on the Smart Screen resources. So hopefully everybody's going to obviously take something away from today's sessions, because we're going to give you lots more information and everything. So let me just hopefully get back to...
Yeah, we're back to the slide now.
There we go. Yep. So it should just be moving and catching up with us now. So to help your learners with their journey, we are going to show you two different platforms that can support your teaching and learning today. Firstly, we are going to be referring to the Boost platform. Now, for any of you who are not aware, Boost is our new e-functional skills platform, which will be coming live on the 1st of January 2023. It is going to replace the dynamic learning platform that some of you may already be using. So please don't worry about that, and we are going to be contacting people later this week and next week about that transition. The Boost platform will be going live on the 1st of January, and it's a new modern feel of an e-functional skills platform. However, all the content is exactly the same from the dynamic learning. So again, people don't have to be worried. You can continue to use the dynamic learning platform and we'll be in touch. But talking about the Boost platform today, it is suitable for all the different learning programs that obviously people deliver, whether that's an online model, apprenticeship provision, or alternatively, it can also support in-house face-to-face delivery methods as well. It is designed to provide the opportunity to have an organised online learning experience for the learner. So from providing the learner initially with their initial assessments, it then can also analyse the levels that they are working towards. It allows it to supply multiple diagnostic assessments to determine the learner's areas of knowledge and skills gaps, and where these may need further development. From this, an individualised learning plan will be created that learners can work through independently or in a supported classroom-based setting as well. They get to work through all the different allocated resources and activities to get them exam ready. Then the other resources that we're talking about today is the Smart Screen, which is a platform which provides digital teaching and learning resources for tutors and learners. It also provides you, the tutor, with schemes of work, resource guides, interactive e-learning, worksheets, activities, and a large selection of maths and English videos.
Now, we know there are many stages a learner needs to take in order to achieve their functional skills qualification. There are also many steps and obstacles for yourselves who are delivering the teaching in order to prepare the actual learner. This can be a mammoth task, especially when starting out. Excuse me. So for the purpose of these sessions, we always look at these in 5 stages, and they are highlighted on the slide. So step 1 is analysing the learner's level and knowledge gaps. Here we start with how you can assess the level your learners are working towards with an initial assessment, as well as finding their strengths and weaknesses through a diagnostic assessment. Then consequently, how you are planning teaching and delivery accordingly. Step 2 is all about that teaching the knowledge required for the functional skills exam. How you can easily create and deliver individualised learning plans and lessons with different delivery modes, which could be face-to-face, virtually, or that blended approach. This could include testing learners' knowledge and tracking their progress. Step 3 is becoming exam ready. So once you feel the learner has gained on maths and English knowledge and bridged any gaps, this is where they will need exam practice. So how do you prepare a learner for their end test? It is most likely worthwhile getting them familiar with the paper or the online exams. Allow them to use the practice tools so they can see the platform used for an online exam. And then step 4, actually taking the assessment, which could be paper-based, online, or carried out remotely. Step 5 then is gaining the certification for the level taken, and this could be at any of the 5 levels available from entry 1 up to level 2.
So let's look at this learner journey and how you support them to become maths and English ready. So starting with step one that Catherine has just been saying about, analysing the learner's levels and knowledge gaps. Firstly, we need to find out what level the learners are working towards. This is the start of their journey. They can take an initial assessment test using the City and Guilds Boost platform. Once this level has been calculated, we then need to analyse the skills gaps within that particular level. Once analysed, a plan will then deliver their upskilling. So again here, the eFunctional Skills platform that we're still using at the moment, Dynamic Learning, or the new Boost platform will assign diagnostic assessments for each of these different areas. So for example, in maths, you will have mini tests on the different curriculum areas like number and number systems, measurements and scales, shape and space, etc. Each mini test will then be RAG rated, ensuring the system is very clear and visual as to what the learner needs to do. Just to confirm, the learner does not have to do all these diagnostic assessments in one sitting, so they can focus on one area at a time if they wish to do so, and able to do them in more sort of like bite-sized chunks.
I was on mute. I do apologise. I've been chattering away, so that's my first faux pas this morning. So within step one, as we mentioned earlier, there is the planning for delivery. Now, we know what level our learners are taking. We can put together a scheme of work, resources and activities. This is where SmartScreen comes into play. Within the actual system, you simply choose your subject, either using the scheme of work provided or the resource guides available, which, by the way, link to the functional skills subject content statements. You simply pick the subject content statement you are delivering, choose your activity, which will be numbered and labelled, and then simply go to the activity bank and go to the named or numbered resource. I am going to open up the SmartScreen platform in just a moment, and I will show you the abundance of resources that are available. So you can tailor your resources to suit your learners or groups. As we all know, no two learners are the same. And in the resource bank, it is here you can choose from actual activities, worksheets, interactive activities or videos, and there's so much choice, and it's all in a simple layout, and most of them are actually downloadable. It's just the interactive ones that aren't. So Michelle, if you can then give me make me the presenter.
Just passed it over to you now, Catherine.
Lovely. So if I now show my screen, I'll just check everybody can see that. Ah, lovely. So just check with you, Michelle. Can you see that, the City and Guilds SmartScreen?
I can, yep.
Lovely. So this is the landing page of the Maths and English. You can see it's a nice simple layout, and you've got your subjects here, Maths and English. So for the purpose of today, we're going to pick everybody's favourite, and we'll look at Maths, particularly level 2, because that's most people ask me lots of questions on. So if I just click into the Maths, you can see here what I mentioned earlier. I've got Maths resource guides, schemes of work for functional skills, and the resource bank. So usually everybody's first step is to go to the scheme of work. So if I click into scheme of work, you can see here the 3 levels for the scheme of work. So if I go to level 2, there we go. So if I click on that, it will just simply open. And in the words of Blue Peter, here is one I created earlier. I wasn't trusting my system on everything downloading this morning. Oh, there we go.
Catherine, so sorry to just interrupt at the moment. Oh, there we go. It's caught up now. There we go. We're on the scheme of work now. Sorry, thanks.
It goes slow this morning. Yeah, so apologies. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed it doesn't crash. I know I shouldn't say that out loud, but yes, it's a bit slow, so I do apologise. So you go into your scheme of work, and you've got some information at the front, which is well worth a read, and then you've got that reminder of those subject content statements. So this is what the learners are going to be tested on. And then as we scroll down, you can see it starts the normal familiar scheme of work, the introduction to functional skills, you're introducing the main elements, and then you can see it starts to actually go on to the subject content statements themselves. So you can see here, it's going to give you the topic and the skills, suggested activities. It actually then links to which actual activities you can use and websites. There you can see it tells you the subject content statements it's linked to, and we've also referenced it to the core curriculum as well. So if you are still utilising that document, and I still go to it at most of the time as well, so you can get further information there. So if I close that back down, okay, so that is the scheme of work. Now you can use the scheme of work, or you can use one of our resource guides. It's entirely up to you. It depends on your approach, on what you want to do. They're both available there and you can download them, so it's up to you. I quite like the resource guide, so it's the maths teacher in me. I like everything in numerical order, so I tend to use the resource guide here. So you can see you've got your 5 levels here. So I would simply just click on my resource guide here. So if I go to that resource guide that opened a minute ago, here we go. Let me just check. Michelle, can you see that now?
It's just still on your desktop at the moment.
Oh, it really doesn't like it this morning, does it? It's like it's frozen, isn't it? Let me come out of it and let me go again. Ah, I think it's trying to catch up now. Let's see what you can see.
We can just see this smart screen.
Yeah, it's catching up. It's like it got a delay. I do apologise, everybody. So I'm actually in the resource guide. I'll just wait for it to open up. Fingers crossed that will work now. If it doesn't, I'll stop sharing and then I'll share again.
So even when we prepare and have all these extra things open for us.
Right, let me see what
there we go. We've got it.
Ah, lovely. Oh gosh, it is slow this morning. Honestly, I've been staring at it for ages. Okay, here we go. So this is your resource guide. It's not going to be ideal, is it? Because I'm going to be moving from different screens. So this is your resource guide. Again, you've got your information there. And again, that reminder for the subject content statements. And then the difference is with this one, rather than go through the, that scheme of work sort of process, this just does it in the subject content statement in numerical order. So you can see it starts off at SES1, and then next to it, it'll show you the resources that you can use and how to actually use them. So if we just go down a couple, and I'm going to choose, here we go, everybody's favourite. We know we love this one, don't we? Fractions, decimals and percentages. This is almost the arch nemesis, isn't it, with our learners. So what we'll look at is, for the purpose of just this demo, is we'll look at this subject content statement. So here you can see I've got a variety of activities and worksheets and videos that I can actually use. So the first one I'm going to show is a worksheet. So I'll just open one of those for you. So I would simply go back to, oh gosh, I hope it's going to work. I would simply just go back to my smart screen. Let me see if it's catching up. Let me see if I can see what you can see. Oh, it doesn't like that desktop, does it? It just seems to freeze on it. Oh God, this is going to be really painful for you, isn't it? Ah, there we go. So I simply go back to my smart screen. I simply click on the resource bank. It's just waiting for you to catch up now. I do apologise about this delay. There we go. So you can see on this web page, as I scroll down, gosh, I'm moving, but my screen isn't. had a proper problem getting in this morning. So you can see on the proper on the screen towards the bottom of the right hand side there, you can see maths bank, maths resource bank, and then you'll have a list. Your screen hasn't caught up with mine. You've got activities, worksheets, interactive activities, and videos. And I need it to catch up because you simply can't see what I can see. It's just frozen, hasn't it? Ah, there we go. Lovely. It's deciding to catch up. Oh, and it's catching up quite quickly. Lovely. So you can see here I've got all of the worksheets. You can see how many there are. There's an absolute abundance of them. Well, you should be able to when the screen catches up. I'm just moving up and down them. You can see you've got 37 of them, just at that level. So for the purpose of today, I'm just going to look at activity worksheet 30. I think it's a bit, it's quite relevant today, isn't it? A cold snap. So I'll simply choose that worksheet from there, and then I've got one open. Already, so let me click on that one. No, that's not it. There it is. I'm trying to watch your screen and watch mine at the same time. Let's see if it catches up. There we go. So I've just opened up that cold snap worksheet, and you can see here I've got a task that the learner can work on independently. It could be something that you could set them for homework. It's entirely up to you. I used to actually create activities out of these worksheets and just laminate them, cut out the data, and then put all the questions into little strips of questions. So it's up to you how you want to do these. You can turn them into your own. So you can download them, and they are in a Word format. So you can see that there. I am scrolling down the worksheet, apologies, but your screen isn't catching up. So that's that one there. So as we come out of that one, so if I go back to my scheme of work, and my resource guide, should I say, see if it's catching up. It seems to be working a little bit quicker. She says, hopefully. Here we go. Ooh, nearly there. I've got a bar at the top telling me what the view is. Well, I hope your Boost platform works a little bit better than my computer today, Michelle. Oh, gosh. I may have to cut demoing this a little bit shorter if this just keeps continuing. Sorry, everybody. Ah, there we go, it catches up. Okay, so I'll probably cut it a bit shorter because it's probably a bit like pulling teeth watching this for you, isn't it? So you can see there, I've got the worksheet there on a cold snap, and it tells me how I can use it. I've got an activity that I could do as well, which is a jigsaw challenge. Let's see if that does open that up. Fingers crossed. Nearly there. Oh, there's nothing worse than a screen that just keeps freezing. I checked these this morning as well, so I don't know. It's opening my end, but it must be in GoTo that the issue's happening. So I've got them all open, but it's just not catching up. Oh, there we go. It looks like it's working now. Here we go. So when I go in, I've got an activity here that I can do as a group activity. And when I scroll down, it tells me at the top how I can actually do the activities. So I give learners 3 cards. They can work out the values, put them in numerical order, which is the highest value, descending order. There's so many activities that you can actually do with this, but they're already created for you. And then the instructions are at the top and gives you an idea of what you can actually do with those activities. So I've got worksheets to do independent work. I've got group activities there that they can actually do as well. So when I actually go back to my resource guide The other one that I've got in there as well, I'm not going to open it up because it's really slowing down, isn't it? Into my resource guide again, I can see that I've got a video which is finding equivalent fractions. So if I go into Smart Screen, and just simply go to the video section, and I could see it was video 98. So I just simply go to video 98. I click on the finding equivalent fractions. Yours is just running a little bit behind mine. So as I'm talking, it's sort of catching up. Fingers crossed it's going to work. Let's see. That's coming through now. There we go. You can see I've got a video that will talk about finding equivalent fractions. I'm just going to play that for a second so you can see how it works.
Find equivalent fractions. Our key terms are numerator, denominator, and equivalent. Now, equivalent means equal. Now we can see these.
There we go. So these videos, your learners can actually have access to Smart Screen as well. So they can access the interactive activities and the videos also. So in the actual interactive activities, so I'm just going to pick one out of subject content statement 5, which was activity 31 when we link into percentages. So let me just scroll back down to that one. So number 31, if I just simply click on that one, I've then got a using percentages tutorial. So if I open that one up, it's just opening now. Well, I've got it open. There we go, you can see it. So I've got an interactive sheet here where if I click on it, it's voiced over as well.
Percentages are used in all sorts of situations.
So it gives me the intro, it will give me top
This
tips.
coat was £50 but has £6 off.
So it'll give me ideas
What
how
is
to
this
do
discount as a percentage?
it. You can try it
Imagine
out.
you work in a clothes shop.
So it'll give you a question, and then it will give you some ideas on working out prices.
Sometimes you'll see that percentages have been added on or taken off.
Hopefully you can hear this. I am scrolling down the page, but yours isn't catching up. And then right at the bottom, I've actually got an interactive activity as well. There we go. So you can see it's asking me what is the price, and then the learner can choose it. I don't know. So I choose the wrong answer here. And if I submit that, it tells me that's not quite right. Now, if I go back and choose the correct answer, it will actually tell me how I've done it right and what the calculation is. If I go back, reset it, submit, there we go. So it tells me it's right, and it explains why it is right as well. So that's just some interactive materials, and they're very good in terms of learners being able to go back and do a little bit of revision on there as well. So you can see that platform there. If I just go back to the main page, let's see if you can see that here. It is catching up. So all of that is that simple layout, all neatly packed into each subject. There we go, that's just catching up there. So as I mentioned, I spoke about a bit earlier, you've got your guides, your schemes of work, and your bank. And you can see how simple it is just to operate using that resource guide and that or the scheme of work. So I am going to pass you now back to Michelle. So I'll make you the presenter now, Michelle.
Yeah, I've got that. Should just waiting to catch up, so we should be back now, and you should all be able to see still on the PowerPoint slide, and it's saying Smart Screen resources, and we'll go on to the next one. So let me just see if we're catching up. There we go, brilliant. So as Catherine's just obviously showed us all the Smart Screen resources, the learner would now sort of like move on to step 2 of that journey. So they will now start to see gaps in their learning and really start to make an impact on their journey through to their final exams. So this is where you can obviously utilise the Smart Screen resources that Catherine's just shown you, and then also the Boost platform, which I'm going to show you. Both of these resources allow you to develop both face-to-face and online content to support your learners' individual journey towards that achievement of their particular skill. So what I'm now going to do is, you should be able to see this is the new interface of the Boost platform. I'm going to stop sharing this PowerPoint presentation and move on to my demo platform and be able to show you the next steps after the learner completes the initial assessments, which I believe you spoke about in the first webinar of the academic year. When I go on to Boost, I'm going to demonstrate how, obviously, as a tutor, you have access to all the different content. You're able to also look at the reporting aspect and then also use it for building your lessons and functionality. So if you just bear with me a second, hopefully this will work and I should be able to come onto there. So what you should now be able to see, and obviously as you can see this morning, Catherine's been having a few technical issues with this system that we're using. What I've done today is, because my platform is actually still in test mode, it is a demo platform, but obviously in the background there's lots of people still working to test it and get it ready for its live date. So it is a little bit slow, so I've got a few bits and bobs open ready to hopefully be able to show you. So if it were on a platform and it starts swirling, obviously don't make judgments regarding the platform at that moment in time. When it goes live on the 1st of January, everything will be ironed out with that. So as you can see, the new Boost platform is a lot more modern, easier, clearer to see for the learners compared to our other platform that we've had in use. All the content is still exactly the same, it just obviously looks a little bit different. For the tutor, what you have access to is the courses. So you can go into the courses here in this section and you've got access to the different tiles, the English and the maths. So if we still stick with the same theme for today and obviously go into the maths section, as a tutor, you have access to the initial assessments and the diagnostics, which will have already been given to the learners to obviously do when you share the initial package with them. Then as a tutor, you also have access to all the E3 materials, all the level 1 materials, and then the level 2 materials here down at the bottom. So Catherine's been talking about fractions, decimals, percentages and ratios. So if we all stick with the same sort of like area that we're looking at today, the tutor has access to these resources. Now what will have happened is the learner will have done their initial assessments and the diagnostics, and it might have already allocated this particular learning section to the learner based on their gaps and in their knowledge. However, you as a tutor might also think, well, it hasn't said that this is a weak area. However, I know that learners struggle and I want to share some of the resources. You can do that easily using the share button on any of the different resources, and that then goes in to the learner's to-do list. So again, creating a more individualised approach if it's for certain learners. For the learners, what you have is you have, first of all, learning, and you have introductions, you have explanations and worked examples, and the idea of these resources are that they're in different formats. So you've got the option of either being more a read-write document, a PDF document, and I'll show you them, and then also the fact of a more audio and visual presentation as well with the presentation approach. So first of all, the learners would do some learning. So hopefully, if I just click on here, and again, this is where it was swirling. So if I would have gone into the introduction section as a learner or a tutor, what you've got here is a PowerPoint. And again, it's an introduction and it plays the audio to you. I'll see if this works for me. But again, because we're having these few issues, there we go. Hopefully you can hear it talking to you and it's going through an introduction into fractions, decimals, percentages and ratios. So that's where we've got that side of things first of all. If we go back into here, the learner would then work through sort of like the introduction and then go on to explanations, worked examples. So hopefully you should be able to see this worksheet, playing catch up. So again, as a learner or a tutor, you just click into it and it'd all be online. But what I've done for today's purpose of the demo is just so that you can actually see the document. So this is a PDF document, and there is also an online version where the learner can work through the worked examples into all the different fractions, decimals and percentages. so that they can build on that knowledge and understanding of this particular subject area. Again, what then happens if I go back into the Boost platform, when the learner has covered sort of like the learning side of things, they've then got the options of doing the activities and the tasks or interactive tests as well. So what we've got is, we have got here, this should be the tasks. And again, this is in the PDF format. If you also just bear with me, I don't know whether any of you's picked up on it. Although I've gone into the level 2 section of this particular area, when I've actually downloaded the resources, it's downloaded as the level 1. And again, what I've done is I've made a note of that and sent that back to the testing and development people ready for when it goes live. And this is why we've got people testing the site at the moment for us for any little errors. So the task sheet obviously comes up, but you can get the idea of it. The learners can work through this in particular in this aspect in a read-write format, making notes as they go through. Or what they can also do is use the interactive approach. And if I click onto this one, this is test your knowledge for fractions, decimals, percentages and ratios, and the learner will be able to start the test. Hopefully it'll play catch up with me in a second. It's just swirling, which I obviously, for the purpose of this side of things, we know that there is a little bit of time for it to catch up, because every time it's doing something, it's sending reports back to the people who need to make sure it's all ready and working for the 1st of January. If it doesn't catch up with me, what I'll explain to you is, so what happens is the learner then obviously tests their knowledge on this particular section that they've already done some learning on. The platform then is gathering sort of like the analytics behind it, so that then you can obviously see if and when the learner is making progress on that particular subject area, which it doesn't look like it's playing for me today at all. So if I just go back into the Boost platform, as I was just saying, if I go back to the home page, as a tutor, you would also be able to come in and see the test results. So if I click on this, it shows that you've got different types of reports that can be pulled for your learners or groups of learners. Now, again, because obviously it's taken a little bit of time, I've got this already ready for you. So within here, it has got an enhanced reporting suite. So if I wanted to go back and drill down a little bit more on this learner's initial assessment results, what I can do here is, for Minnie Mouse, it's brought up each of the different questions and their results. What you've also got going through it is you've got this blue line. The blue line is what is called the school average, and that is based on all the results that are within your platform for that particular test taken. You also have the results further down here as well, and you can do it so that you can actually compare it for different learners or compare it for groups of learners. You can see you have something called a heat map, and again, that's like you can turn that on and off, and that's like your red, amber, green. You can also drill down into each of the questions, and what this does is it allows you to look at the different question area, so whole numbers, calculating squares, etc., and see where the learner has maybe not done as well in different particular areas on that initial assessment. So again, although the platform is doing the work for you, as a tutor, you're also getting that insight. You can also download this report, and again, just to make it a little bit easier, I have already downloaded this report, so hopefully you should be able to see that spreadsheet. And what you have is you have an overview of the reporting that's just been on the screen, and then that drill down into each of the different question areas, and where you can obviously see the red, amber and green depending on what the data is that's coming out. Hopefully that should take me back to there. There we go. So it has different reporting within it. There is also the options under the reporting section of being able to see, hopefully you should be able to just see this one. This is another report that the system pulls, and this is gap analysis. So you're able to see where the gaps are in the learner's knowledge based on the diagnostics, which then the platform will allocate them some resources. And again, another report. And again, these can all be seen in a visual format on the platform as well. You can see what the learner has to do, and you're able to add in due dates actually within the platform. So give them deadlines to do, or break it down into more sort of like bite-sized chunks. And then you can also see what they have completed as a learner as well. So that's the more enhanced reporting side of things. Also within the platform, if I also just go back to the home page a second, if it'll let me play catch up. If not, I'll just jump straight into this section. What you have got is you've also got this lesson resource section, where what you can do is you can create lessons, you can add your own resources, you can use resources from the platform, and then you can share those with the learners. Or you can also share it with other tutors if you're getting tutors to deliver classes for you if you're off for one reason or another and things like that. And so basically what you find is this platform then has everything all in one place for obviously your delivery. And like we said earlier on, that delivery can be either face-to-face, classroom-based, online, independent, apprenticeships, whatever, but it's all mapped to the City and Guilds functional skills exams. And again, I've shown you the maths today, but we have also got full support and resources for the English side as well. So just let me see if it will let me come back to the slideshow, Catherine, for us. There we go. So what we should be up to is the next steps.
Brilliant, thanks Michelle. In fact, yours was working a lot faster than mine. I think it's the go-to platform as well. I think that it's really just not happening, but there we go, we've made it through, so whew, there we go. So once you are happy that the learner is becoming exam ready, so we've gone through all of the teaching and learning, there are now a number of next steps. Firstly, you've got Boost, which contains your PDF mock tests, which can be downloaded and completed. We've also got our online writable PDF papers on the 4748 qualification page. For learners who will be taking their functional skills test online, we've got our Open Assess platform, and when we get to the assessment stage, learners can sit their assessments either online or paper. To support centres further in this world of virtual working, as we mentioned earlier, we've also got our remote invigilation service for functional skills, allowing tests to be taken at home or in the workplace, providing more flexibility and removing the need to travel to actual test centres. So if we just move now, okay, thank you. As I mentioned in the previous slide, for those learners who will be taking online tests, we've got that Open Assess platform, which we will be taking a deeper dive into during our next digital resources webinar. So Open Assess is our online sample practice platform where learners can familiarise themselves with the navigation of the online tests and also with the tools used in the testing platform. It can also be used as part of your delivery to demo how to use the tools in the navigation tests, and the learners can complete the navigation test too. So you can see if actually online is suitable for them. Just to mention at this point, it is vital that learners know how to use the platform, as this may require, you may need to demo it to them or to actually teach them how to actually use those tools. We need to remember when a learner is going into an online test, we're not testing their IT skills, it's about testing their maths or their English. So online testing is not suitable for everybody. Tutors can then allocate an online sample test. So when a learner logs in, or you're logging in, you allocate the online sample test to the learner, and then the learner completes it. You retrieve it and mark it. So the system actually mirrors the evolved system. So the learner gets a key code, a PIN code, you allocate that to them with the link, they go in and then they do the test, they submit it and practice test, and then you retrieve it. Following this, the tutors then can schedule a candidate review to ensure that you've gone through where learners have made errors. You can also choose the sample paper version for the learners if you want them to resit an actual paper to check understanding. Just to note, you can only reallocate the same paper as long as you've marked that previous attempt. There is a new Open Assess user guide available along with a support webinar that walks you through using the platform, and I have included both of those links in this slide. And for paper exams, we've got our writable PDF sample papers, and they're available, as I mentioned earlier, on the 4748 qualification page. Again, these enable you to ensure the learner is exam ready. Just to add also, it's important that sample papers are reviewed with the learner so they understand where they actually make errors, and so they can possibly correct those errors so they do not repeat them. So for example, if we give a learner a sample paper, they didn't do so well, you mark it, you have a chat with them, and then just allocate them another sample paper. The learner hasn't actually had chance to correct their errors. I mean, they might not have needed to do that, but it's only by having that conversation and that review with the learner that you can find out perhaps they do need to redo certain questions, because the learner only usually learns by, correcting their own mistakes, and that's how we learn, isn't it? So it's really important that we go back and correct our own mistakes, whereas if we just keep allocating sample paper after sample paper, all it's going to do is create more work for us to mark. So for example, if you've got 100 learners and 100 learners, and say you do give them 5 sample papers, that's 500 papers that you have to mark. That's an awful lot of sample papers. So it's about using them in a sort of more smart way rather than just giving different sample papers. So it's about that review. So if we just move on to that next slide. So when it comes to actually taking the live test, the learner, as we've mentioned, has got the 2 options. Firstly, there's a more traditional paper-based approach, and then there's the Evolve platform, which is the on-screen testing solution, which only does need 30 minutes notice. Now, do please bear in mind that your organisation may have their own processes and may need more notice. So if you've got an exams team that are dealing with thousands of learners, they can't all do that in 30 minutes notice. So do please bear that in mind. This option can offer more flexibility in terms of being able to carry out the exam online. They can be downloaded onto a PC or laptop and taken offline. So for example, if you wanted to take them into a location in the workplace, and then once the learner's completed them, they do stay secure on that laptop or PC. After the exam, they can be uploaded back into the system. So it can be a flexible, secure way of learners to carry out assessments at different locations, but do ensure all exam procedures are adhered to as set out in the ICE document. Just to also reiterate at this point before we move on, all of our tests are available on demand, and as mentioned previously, there is a live remote invigilation service, and this is where candidates can take the online test at home or in the workplace, and an online invigilator is actually provided. So if we move on, Michelle.
Yeah. So just before we actually go into a bit more information about remote invigilation and actually what it is and giving you a little bit more insight, I just want to share another poll with you if I can, please. And that should be launching on your screens now. And what we're asking you is, were you aware that we offer a remote invigilation service? And the answers there, yes, no, or not heard of the service. So we're just giving everybody a couple of moments just to obviously action that poll so we can see the results. So it's just starting to slow down with the results now. So if it lets me manage the polls this time, let me see. Don't think it's coming up at my end again, Catherine.
That's fine. So if I click close, and there we go, and I'll share the results, which is quite interesting. So only 59% are aware. So you've still got quite a large proportion of people there that aren't aware that we do offer a remote invigilation service. So it's really important for us that we can make sure that everybody knows everything that is available for you.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully that should then be hiding that. There we go. It's just playing catch up. There we go. There we go. So we should be onto the remote invigilation slide, and we've caught up now. So our remote invigilation service allows for tests on our Evolve platform to be taken from home or the workplace, providing learners with more flexibility and removing the need to travel for tests and exams. We provide an invigilator who supervises a learner using an audio-visual stream and AI. The invigilator can provide technical support to ensure that they can deliver the best performance in the test. The invigilator can pause or terminate the test if they see suspicious behaviour as well. For more information about this remote invigilation service and our 5-step process to exam success using this particular service, please visit the website and download the 5-step guide and tells you how to set up and run remote invigilation. To also support this, for any customers who are both new to the service or running the service already, our DSMs, that's my team, we can provide a training session on candidate preparation, because half the time that's some of the issues. This will help staff understand what exactly is required in preparing the learners for this particular service. Please let us know in the question section when it gets opened up afterwards if you want any further information on this or to actually book any training in for this particular service.
That's great, thank you. So once a learner has sat a test, this is where you've got your centre analytics that can be utilised. This platform enables you to dig into a candidate's performance data from any test or exam delivered through the Evolve platform. So any functional skills exam delivered on for any functional skills exam that's delivered on screen. It's in addition to the score reports that get issued to individual candidates ahead of their formal confirmation of results, but allows you also to look at patterns or trends. For example, if candidates are consistently losing marks against particular subject content statements. It's also possible to use Centre Analytics to look at performance codes and actual raw marks for candidates completing paper functional skills exams. Some people are not aware that you can get paper functional skills feedback from there as well. The performance codes have always been printed on the paper notification results sheet, and there's a glossary explanation document on our functional skills documents page that explains what each of these codes means, but that's a performance codes document. But Centre Analytics enables you these codes to be accessed in an electronic format along with each candidate's actual mark, and we will do a deeper dive into this platform on our 4th digital resources webinar. So we are diving into each platform as we move through the academic year. Thank you. So after using Centre Analytics, I will then know what areas I need to work on with my learner. If they need to do a resit, I can then go through steps 3 and 4 again. Learners who have successfully completed their functional skills qualification will be issued with a certificate, and an e-certificate is available on the walled garden. In addition to the certificate, the learner is also entitled to a digital credential.
Sorry, I was on mute as well then. So with that in mind, again, we've got another quick poll to find out from yourselves if you're aware of the digital credentials that learners get with their functional skills. So if you give me 1 second, that should launch. There we go. And the question is up there: were you aware that learners will be allocated a digital credential once they have passed their functional skills exam? So just giving it a few minutes for you to answer either yes, no, or not heard of these. And then obviously I'll give you some further information on that.
Just to give a little bit of further information while people are voting, when you register your learners, you will need to include an email address for a learner, so that when the learner has completed, they can get their email from Credly. So just wanted to put that at this point.
That's great. And my close box has now finally popped up, so hopefully the result, no, it's not doing it again for me, Catherine, sorry.
No, don't apologise. Don't you love GoToWebinar today? I'm so sorry, everybody. We're running a few minutes later than what we should be. But
there we go. I think it's up now. It should be showing that 48% of you said yes, you were aware of the digital credentials, 38% said no, and 15% said not heard of it. So although some of you have heard of it, obviously there's still quite a majority of people, or a chunk of people, who aren't aware of obviously the digital credentials. It just seems to have popped out of the slide, so just bear with me a second. Let me see if it's going to let us.
Yeah, you're back.
There we go. Yeah, it's back on.
Back in the room.
I was going to say, We're definitely blaming the cold today, aren't we? There we go. So let's give you a little bit of information about this digital credentials. So just like what Catherine said, is in order for your learner to claim the digital credentials, they need to have that email address in walled garden. Now, it's not a mandatory field on the actual site, but obviously it's really important for it to go in there for them to be able to claim this. Once they've been successful in gaining their functional skills, which they obviously work very hard for, they will receive an email from a company called Credly. So again, it's letting learners know not to be wary of things that are coming through from a company called Credly. This invites them to accept it, and from there they can claim their digital badge. This can then be shared across social networks, for example, things like LinkedIn. It can be embedded into their profiles, website, emails, footers, blogs, etc. For anyone who's not aware, digital credentials, these are a digital representation of the skills that have been achieved. So as mentioned earlier, they are not only shareable, but also informative. So when you click on the digital badge, it can show an onlooker what is known as the metadata behind that qualification or standard or achievement. And it gives the details of the skills that have been met in order to achieve that particular credential. City and Guilds offer a range of digital credentials for their qualifications and standards, and we also have a bespoke credentialing service. If this is something you wish to know more about, again, just please email us. The email address is digitalsales@cityandguilds.com.
Thank you. And just ahead, I have now opened up the question function, so if people want to start typing questions in there, I know we're running over, so I do apologize everybody, but that question box is open so you can start to ask questions. So while you're just doing that, let me just give you a little bit more information. So we hope that we have shown you today, I know that looks a little bit of a busy slide, but we've broken it down for you as we've gone along. So we hope that we've shown you that City and Guilds can provide support and add value at every point of that learner journey, whether it be initial assessment, whether that be initial assessment through a variety of teaching and learning resources, building the learner's confidence during exam practice, but also giving you the confidence to track the learner's journey by using the resources that we have highlighted today. Looking to the future, we would also like to know what resources you'd like us to link into the learner journey for our future webinars. And there is an email address at the end, that's the pre-employment@cityandguilds.com, that you can get in touch with us, but it is on the slide. So just moving on. So that function box is open. So while chat function is open, so while you're asking the questions, I just want to do a little sneaky, little shameless plug here. As technical advisors, we offer in-person support through sessions such as our Connect Share networks. These are free for you to join as City and Guilds customers, and places are limited, so they will book up fast. You can access date and locations of the events on our events, webinars and network page. I have put the link in the slide for you. I've also inserted the link on, I'm duplicating myself here, so I'm trying to rush now, aren't I? So slow down, Catherine. So I'll put the link in the slide for you that can follow, but you can just navigate through our landing page. We were going to be in London next week. We've had to cancel that due to the train strikes, but we have got City College of Plymouth, Sheffield and Dudley College coming through in January. We are planning more, and they are going to be starting to appear on the website. So I am just in the process of finding another date for London. These sessions will continue through the year and in different locations, so please do keep checking the locations that are most suitable to you. Or if you would like to host an event, please do get in touch with us. We are always looking for hosts. We will, however, keep our online model, and these will be a shorter snippet version that gives you a chance to connect and share. So feel free to sign up for one of those virtual link ups if you cannot make one of our face-to-face events.
Just a little bit of extra information from myself with regards to further support that we can also give you. So there's myself and the digital solution managers. We host regular monthly back-to-back training sessions on our eFunctional Skills platform, and then Boost moving forward into January. and our other platforms, including EPA Pro and Learning Assistant. If you want to find out a bit more information about any of the webinars that we do also run, please visit us at the City and Guilds website, and you'll find that under what we do, online and on track, expert support service, and then you can obviously book onto the webinars and what have you. And obviously anything that has been shown today, obviously in a very small demo, either the smart screens that Catherine's shown, or the Boost platform moving forward. If anybody would like something a little bit more tailored directly for themselves, please do not hesitate to contact us, and the email addresses will be coming up as well.
That's great, thank you. And I've noticed that some of the questions have already coming through. I am conscious of time. We did say we usually try and keep it under an hour, so I'll quickly see if I can get through as many questions as I can. So thank you so much for these. If I can't, I will take them offline. So let's have a quick look. So Tyler is asking how much the Boost system actually costs. I don't know if you've got those answers to hand.
Yeah, just to obviously give you a little bit of information, the Boost platform, although it's going to be a new system, the prices are not changing from the My Dynamic Learning platform. And it's £7.50 per learner per skill, and that's what it starts at for just like individual learners. And then as you go up, the more learners you get, the price then goes down in price as well. But again, what we'd prefer to do is give you sort of like a more bespoke price based on your numbers. So pop your details in. Or if you send us an email to the the email address that we're going to be giving, we can obviously come back to you and then obviously give you a little bit more information on that, if that's okay.
There you go, Tyler. So do pop us an email, and it's on the next slide coming up. Tony's asking, do students need to be enrolled on functional skills to be able to do initial assessments or diagnostics? Can schools pay for this, or is it free? So Tony, you've asked quite a few other questions as well, so it might be worth you emailing us as well, Tony, and Michelle could probably have a bit of a chat with you and go through all of the information. But there's no reason why you can't use the platform. You know, if you want to use it. It is a paid for platform, so even if you've enrolled a learner on functional skills, it is an additional resource. So that is one of those paid for platforms. But no, they don't have to be enrolled on functional skills. So if you want to use that platform, that's fine. Nicola is asking, is there a cost difference between paper-based functional skills papers compared to remote invigilation? So Nicola, that's a really good question. Now, because remote invigilation is done through a third party, they do have to allocate an invigilator, so there is an additional cost. Off the top of my head, I think it's £25. I could be wrong, but I think it is that one. But obviously that is because they are allocating, they have to pay for an invigilator to do that. Tony's asking, are there any entry 3 online papers for English? Tony, they don't do, so entry level, the exams are not conducted online, so they are paper-based exams for entry level, but there are some sample papers available on the 4748 qualification page. So you simply go to the 4748 qualification page, go to the entry level qualification, and you'll see the sample papers there, but we currently don't do online. It is something that we've looked at, but usually the feedback is that online isn't suitable for entry learners, but that is something that we do keep sort of backing and forwards with. So thank you for that one. Susie, is it possible to get management reports for whole cohorts? Yes. If I believe they're talking about the Centre Analytics, so you can in the Centre Analytics. I'm not sure, can you create that in, so let's just ask if it's both. So can you create cohorts in the Boost platform, Michelle, and get reports that way?
You certainly can, yeah. That's part of, obviously, when we do a demo, and obviously when we have more time, we can show you how to set them up, and then obviously show you the reporting. So anybody who is obviously got more questions on that, just, you know, send us an email and we'll get an appointment booked in. But yes, we can pull a cohort reporting. And obviously that is why the system has been enhanced under that reporting section.
That's great. Thank you, Michelle. Jimmy's asking, does the initial assessment test, oh, I've lost my screen. Does the IA test learners' calculator and non-calculator skills? So does that in the Boost platform, Michelle? So is the platform testing calculator and non-calculator skills? Do you know?
I know within the platform there is some aspects which are calculator and non-calculator, but I would have to double check if it actually happens within the initial assessments in the first instance. So what I can do is I can take that question away, get an answer, and obviously we can come back to the customer. Is that okay?
That's great. Tyler, so if you can email that into Michelle, please, so she's got your email address, that would be great. Thank you. Oh, sorry, that was Jim, sorry. So Jim, if you can email that to Michelle. Thank you. Tyler says you're having issues with your Open Assess. It's only giving my learners the same exams and no mark scheme is ever provided. Right, so the mark scheme, Tyler, is on the 4748 qualification page. So it's the same mark scheme. So they're the same sample papers, online and paper. So you simply use the mark scheme that is available. There is, if you're having issues with the Open Assess, I would say go back to customer services and just have a chat with them. They might need to check your settings, Tyler. So if you can do that, if you have any other issues, just get back to us. But if you go through customer services, because everything's logged that way, please. But you should be able to choose the papers. Right, Adele, good question. Which of these resources are free? Sorry, I didn't include that in there, did I, Adele? And I normally do that face to face. So your Smart Screen and your Boost platform are, you have to pay for those because they're additional platforms. But your Centre Analytics and your Open Assess, they are free for you to use as City and Guilds, as a City and Guilds customer. Okay, another good question here from Joseph. Where do I access feedback for paper-based exam? So in Centre Analytics, that's a really good question, Joseph, sorry. You have to, in the search, you have to put in 4748 functional skills and in brackets put paper. If you put 4748 functional skills just on its own, that will only give you the online. So you have to search for the paper one separately. So just in the search, just put 4748 functional skills and in brackets put paper. Laura's asking, are Boost and Smart Screen both separate platforms to buy? Yes, they are, Laura. Yes. Hopefully you're listening back to the recording because I can see that you've left. Nicola, is Boost just for practice papers or real papers? So Boost is a platform, Nicola, that learners do practice. So it's that online platform to support where the learner can do independent study. So for practice papers, that would be your Open Assess, Nicola. So that's where they can do the online practice for papers, or you can go to the 4748 where you can get your writable PDFs there. Catherine, I noticed briefly Essential Skills Northern Ireland on the Smart Screen. Is the Blues pack? Oh, good question, Catherine. Thank you for raising that. So that's something that Michelle might need to take away. So no.
Oh, Catherine, I think I've lost you. I don't know whether you can still hear me.
I can hear you, Michelle. Can you hear me now? Oh, I think it's becoming a little bit like a seance, isn't it? So what we'll do, Catherine, can I ask you to email that question into Michelle, please, for the Digital Solutions Managers to pick up? I don't know if it does, so that's a really good question. So if you can email that in, that would be great. Sally, which of these platforms have a charge attached? Well, there you go, we've already mentioned that one, so that's your Boost and your Smart Screen. Right, so Jay, yes, I've worked in prisons as well. You work in a prison, will Smart Screen and Boost be suitable for my students? Right, so that's all depending on the virtual campus. So that's something that has to go back to Nexus, isn't it? Is it Nexus that are still doing the virtual campus? So Jay, there isn't any reason why they can't go on the actual virtual campus, but we're in talks with the prisons. This is something myself and Kevin get involved with. This is something that's managed by the virtual campus. There's no reason why they can't go on the virtual campus, but then they have to be taken back to Nexus. Thank you, Terry. Oh, right, yeah, he's found the webinar useful. Crikey, I managed to get through every one of those. I'm sorry that it was a bit of a rush through. I noticed we're starting to lose people now because I know your time is so precious. If you do have any further questions, please do email those through to us and we will get a reply to you. So you can see there's the pre-employment at cityandguilds.com on the actual web page there. I'm not sure if you can hear us, Michelle. Oh, Michelle can hear us. Yeah, which I think we might have lost her. Oh, you're back?
Yes, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but I was lost. So has everyone just seen the last slide with the pre-employment?
Yes.
Yeah. So moving forward, just so obviously you've got a few more points of contact. Obviously quite a few people had some queries, questions, Boost, Smart Screen and what have you. If you want to forward them on to myself, that will come through to the digital.solutions@cityandguilds.com. If you are an existing platform customer and you have any further queries, we have the digital support at cityandguilds.com. And if you need any further information regarding digital credentials, please contact dcsales@cityandguilds.com. And for any queries relating to functional skills, you can contact the Maths and English team on preemployment@cityandguilds.com.
So it just remains to say a big thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today, and apologies again for the slowness of the platform. I know it was a bit slow, so we do apologise. We will be running our next digital resources webinar on the 7th of March 2023 at 3 p.m, but also there will be another Maths and English webinar on Wednesday the 11th of January, where we're actually going to be, our focus will be on ESOL. We will keep the webinar running just for a couple of more minutes at the end, just in case you have any further questions or queries for us to take away. So thank you again. We hope to see you next time. So it's goodbye from me and goodbye from you, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you very much and goodbye, everyone. Have a lovely day.
And have a lovely Christmas, everybody. Take care.
Bye.